Good evening. I will be showing how to sew together the Halla Stardust Tee tonight. Just the piecing of that front panel. So as you can see, I've got my pieces cut out. There's the star and the other section of the front. And now I will show how I pin. I'm going to start right here at this edge and just flip the piece over and line that up. Now I'm going to center the points in all of the V's. So here we go. Line up the edge. I use a lot of pins to do this. Start with a pin at this beginning. And then I take the point and I line it up exactly with the V and place a pin there. And this is going to be my sewing direction. I'll sew along here all the way around the shirt. So after that V, I line up the fabric so it's neither side is stretched, and place another pin about 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter away. And then I continue around the rest of the shirt doing exactly that same thing. With the points of the stars, I take that flat part and line it up exactly with that V as well. Alright, we got it a little upside down. So there's that V. And then I take the point and line up that center piece right there in the middle. And then I turn that fabric so that neither piece is stretched. And again, about 1 centimeter or 1/2 inch away, place a second pin. And while I'm at that, I take that V and I just snip a little 1/8 inch. Just give the fabric a little ease when I get to those corners. That will allow it to line up a little better as I sew along here, and then pivot. I backstitch here, pivot, backstitch here, and continue along there. That V there will give it the ease to get around the seam allowance. And then I'll continue around and pin everything else exactly the same way. Now you can see I've got the start pin and then double pins at each of these points. And then a final pin here at the end to keep it all lined up. And now we're going to head to the machine. Now we're at the machine. You can see I've got my clear applique foot on. It makes it much easier to see what's going on. I'm going to line my fabric up at the 1/4 inch mark. The 1/4 inch seam allowance, low and grab those threads so they don't bunch. Back stitch a bit, and away we go. Get that first section all lined up with that initial pin, so we get the fabric all lined up evenly so it's nice and flat and it's not stretched. I can feel the fabric slightly wrinkly, so I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. Sorry. Then I carefully hand wheel right up to that first pin and backstitch. And then I remove that pin. Lift my foot and carefully flatten that fabric all over. This is where that notch comes in really handy, and Sam's trick of a pair of tweezers would pull that with my gimp finger here. I tried to slice it off last Sunday. Not a good plan. Cuts down on my sewing time. So now I've got my fabric all flat, and I'm going to continue on. My back stitch and my 1/4 inch in seam allowance. And I'll continue on all the way around just that same way. Okay, so now we've got everything sewn down, and as you can see, the corners get kind of bunchy in places. So I'm going to trim this extra fabric off from that point to make it lay much flatter. So here you can see I trimmed that pretty close to the seam. Left a little bit there, just so it lay nicely flat when I go to top stitch. I'm also going to take this corner, and you can see where I did the little snip previously. I'm going to extend that so that that will lay really flat, and then trim this back fabric here as well to make it lay nicely. And I'll continue to do that around all these points. So you can see I've trimmed these little pieces off of all of those corners, and now I'm going to turn it over to make sure everything lays flat. And this is where we'll see why I backstitched at each corner as I came to it on the sewing side. You can see there's a slight pucker here. The rest of them lay quite flat, that the top stitching will get evened out. But this one has just a little pucker. So I can come back here and I can see that right here there's that little stitch in the middle that just kind of causes that little pucker. So I'm going to take my scissors and snip that. As you can see, I just snipped that one little thread there so that it will lay flat when I top stitch. Now this is where Samantha says, go ahead and zigzag these two little pieces back here together all the way around the star. I'm lazy. I skip that step, and I just go ahead and I get my pieces to all lay flat, and I check them as I stitch from the top. So I'll turn my piece over, and I'm going to go to my machine and stitch along here, making sure that those pieces are folded underneath as I go.